Greetings once again, Fiend and Fiendettes, for another quick installment of Uberdemon's Movie Morgue. This time I wanted to talk quickly about some great 80s horror films that some of them are well known and are loved by many people, and others are a little more under the radar but are still deeply loved by their cult following. I'm going to start off with probably some more well known movies from that era and more noted slasher films. Halloween 4 and 5 came out in this time frame, like at the end of the 80s, and I remember being a young boy in the video store and seeing the cover for Halloween 4, and I couldn't wait to see it. Next, moving on to the great, very well known Friday the 13th series, which of course features Jason, the hockey mask killer, as the slasher in that series. Actually, some of my more personal favorites are towards the end. Like Part 7, in my opinion, is the definitive, the best Friday the 13th movie with Jason as the slasher. And on to the piece de resistance, the big honkin' Nightmare on Elm Street box set. Growing up, if you grew up in the 80s like I did, Freddy was a slasher horror staple, and of course I found out shortly after when parts 4 and 5 were coming out, that Freddy was played by Robert Englund, and he's a really cool guy and really made this character who he is today, which the film's being remade, the first one's being remade, and Robert Englund's not playing Freddy, unfortunately. Moving on to some more obscure titles, there's Blood Diner, which this film is kind of a riff on Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, in the sense that they're trying to create a feast for a goddess which goes by a very similar name, if not the exact same name, as the goddess in Blood Feast. One notable moment in this is a woman running around in her underwear with a deep-fried head, worth the price of admission alone. This is really hard to find. Has not been released here in Region 1 yet, but if you can find it and you have a player that'll play it, grab it. It's a fun time. And this one's a personal favorite of mine from growing up, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Long and short, this movie is about killer clowns that hide their bodies in cotton candy cocoons. Very cool movie. The definitive killer clown movie of all time. Moving on to The Monster Squad. Another personal favorite of mine growing up. I watched it all the time. Rented it all the time. Wore it out. Still wear it out. Especially since it came on DVD. And I think it's funny that when this came out on DVD, finally, that the retailers around completely underestimated the demand for this film. It was nearly impossible to find this film around when it first came out on DVD, because people have been waiting for it for such a long time to hit DVD that once it did come out, anyone that found it was like, holy crap, I've got to snatch this up now, and did. I was one of those lucky people that found it early and snatched it up quick. And I'm going to move on to another series of films from the 80s. The Critters series, which I think some of the later films are from actually the early 90s. The first one, of course, is classic film. Has Billy Zane in it, of all actors. Little critters that eat anything and end up becoming a giant critter at the end of the movie. There's a second one, which everyone knows because there's the big critter ball at the end, and this one's really cool with what they did with the bounty hunter aliens, and the fact that one keeps changing because it can't find a comfortable fit for a human form. That and the hungry heifer scene cracks me up every time I see it, because you see all these little critters just chowing down at a buffet, and every time I go to a buffet now I can't help but think of this movie and laugh and giggle and think about that scene. Part 3, Critters in the Big City, woo woo. It's part 3. Still has some entertaining moments, and notably, Leonardo DiCaprio is in this film. And last but not least, there's Critters 4, which is Critters in Space. It kind of makes sense because they started off in space, but you could really tell it was the end of the series for these guys, and they went out with a pretty good bang. Brad Dourif is actually in this Critters movie. If you like the Critters, or you like movies with little creepy things that run around with sharp teeth and eat anything in sight, I definitely recommend that one. 80s zombie flick, Night of the Comet. I would say to a lot of people this one's probably pretty forgettable. There's not a lot that really makes this movie stick. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. But again, it's just really not a lot that sticks with you with this film. I mean, if you're trying to watch every single zombie movie ever made, this is one that you should definitely not overlook. There's another one, Neon Maniacs, which I do not have, unfortunately, which I should probably get and check it out because it looked like it'd be a good one. Moving on to Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2. Sadly, Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies in College, has not been released on DVD yet, at least that I've found. And that's a shame because it's the funniest Ghoulies entry, period. I really enjoyed Ghoulies 2 growing up, but as I've gotten older, I've really grown to appreciate 1 a lot more. 2 is great, but 1 is by far my favorite. Features the black magic wizards and summoning these little ghoulies that run around and terrorize people and eat people. Another great little mini monster movie. And Critters and movies like this inspired other movies like Hobgoblins and Munchies and Troll. And there's a ton of movies that kind of spun off of that kind of a little mini monster thing. In fact, the Ghoulies was done by Charles Band, who many of you know from Full Moon Entertainment, and he's actually going to be here in Indianapolis on the 24th of this year, which I found out in the new Horror Hound magazine. And Charles has gone on to do many other movies like this, like the Puppet Master stuff, and I mean, just a slew of movies, Little Monsters, Blood Dolls. That was really the beginning of the little monster movie stuff with Charles Band, and really enjoyable films with little creatures running around. And then there's Fright Night, which great vampire flick for the 80s. This had a great movie. Lots of cool vampire action. Pick it up, check it out, you'll love it. Stephen Jeffries is also in that movie, and Stephen Jeffries is an even bigger star in this movie, 976 Evil, which I happen to find this at Big Lots this week, and a big bin of movies that they just put out for $3. If you're a fan of this movie, you really love this movie, or if you just want to check it out and don't want to shell out a lot of cash, go to Big Lots. $3. It's not a waste of $3. It's actually a pretty enjoyable movie, and enjoy it over and over again like you're watching it for the first time. And I've talked about this film before on here, but I wanted to showcase a couple other editions because it's a great movie from the 80s that I think is completely overlooked and needs its own individual release instead of being in a 2-pack and being undershadowed with another movie. And I think people would definitely buy this movie if it had a dedicated release on its own. Is Mausoleum. This is a Region 2 PAL version that will play on a Region 3 player. Nothing special with the cover, blah, blah, blah. The cover art is one of the things that drew me into this movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by the story and the special effects of this movie for the time period. And this is a special copy that I found at a horror convention, and this has the cool cover art. Not the original cover art. And new on DVD, which I finally got in the mail, is Phantasm 2, finally being released by Universal on DVD. And I think Universal knew that the Anchor Bay releases were coming down the pipeline here in the States, so they waited until all of the Anchor Bay releases were done, and then finally like, all right, fine, we'll release our copy. And it's a bare bones release, which just features the trailer as a special feature. I'm just finally glad that it's on DVD in Region 1 and has great picture quality, and it's finally given somewhat of a release that it deserves, at least in terms of the quality of the picture. But yes, still same great Phantasm 2. This happens to be my favorite film in the series, alongside the first one, which I mentioned several times. If you're a Phantasm fan, check it out, pick it up. You'll love it. I love it. It's Phantasm. How can you go wrong? That's all I've got for now. I hope you enjoyed this quick catch up, and I'll probably do some more of these. I know I've got some more movies coming soon. And my birthday's coming up soon, so I'll be getting more movies then. So I'll stay tuned. I'll be giving more updates frequently, and I'll see you next time here on YouTube.